Hello, I'm Chanel, and today I am doing the Aquarius season decks. So, Aquarius is from January 20th to Feb 18th. The symbol is the water bearer. The ruling planets are Uranus and Saturn. I find that this lends the qualities of creativity, imagination, and also the breaking of established structures to the sign. They tend to be radical, and there's also an affinity for technology. It is in the 11th house, and the 11th house is one of community and social interactions, as well as being very future focused. I find with Aquarians, although they are meant to be the humanitarians of the world, they do prefer to not be around actual people. So they care about the plight of the world and of humanity and making positive changes, but they need a lot of alone time, and they prefer to really only be around their chosen few humans. It's an air sign, so they're intelligent and open-minded, and there's a focus on their personal freedoms. It's a fixed sign. And with Aquarius, I feel like this translates into them fighting for what they believe in. And they definitely do not like being put in a box or restricted in that way or told what to do. They're highly independent and definitely enjoy their own company. I find that Aquarians also don't like talking about their feelings to people that aren't very intimate with them. They can come across as a bit aloof, a little closed off, but around those that they love, I find that Aquarians are actually extremely talkative. My youngest daughter, Indy, is an Aquarian, and the things that she says are just so out of left field and so random. The way her brain works, I just don't understand it. There's no logic there, but it is the most entertaining and fascinating thing to get a glimpse into what's going on in her mind and how she sees things and what she's thinking about. I feel like Aquarians definitely march to the beat of their own drum. I think out of all the signs, they're considered the most like eccentric or weird. I feel like they are born to stand out and are probably the ones that are going to start a revolution. They've got that rebellious nature. They're not afraid to be themselves. They're not one for conforming for the sake of conforming. They can definitely say no, and they will always do what's true to them. They are authentic unto themselves. If I was going to pick a song, obviously a song that comes to mind is The Age of Aquarius. It's like, that's the song that comes to mind. But yeah, Aquarians, a little kooky, a little odd, and might be a little unconventional, but I think overall are very altruistic. So let's have a look at some decks. I'm going to start by recommending one. So I know I've said previously this is that I'm only choosing from the decks that I have, but I feel like, I should save one slot there for a deck that I think might really fit the sign that maybe I don't have. And I couldn't go past The Age of Aquarius. I know that Aquarius is an air sign, but for some reason it just has a very watery feel to it, even though, like I said, Aquarians keep their emotions kind of very much to themselves. I also associate very like watery colors with the signs of Aquarius, so blues and purples and whites. So this deck is The Age of Aquarius, and I feel like it's one that's very much epitomizes a connection to the spiritual realms, to the higher self, to an evolved consciousness, and while also being one that reflects the impact human beings have on the world. So there's a very spiritual and yet nature-based connection, I think, with this particular deck. So one that is focused on what your role you play whilst also connecting to the well-being of all the living creatures and beings on this planet. But yeah, I don't have this deck personally, but I've seen it online and it was giving me Aquarian vibes, so I thought I'd start off with that one. Now, I had to ask my daughter, who's an Aquarius, what her favorite deck was, and her favorite deck is the Adventure Time Tarot, which I have, but she was wanting to play with it a lot, so and was wrecking it, and obviously mine was expensive and I bought it directly from the creator, and so I got her this one, which is a tin edition, and it's mini, and it's got a much more like a durable quality of cards. But Adventure Time is her favorite show at the moment. She really resonates with it, and I think it's because too you've got Finn and Jake which are a duo, two friends, a man and their dog-like creature, but it's very much a sentient dog, not a pet. And they're best buds. And I feel like Aquarians are like that. They will find someone that they really can be themselves with and not feel judged by and be more extroverted. I find that in public, they might be introverted, but with their friends and their loved ones, total extrovert. And Finn and Jake are always trying to help other people. And they're very happy-go-lucky. They're optimistic. They're trying to make the world a better place. They're trying to do the right thing. So this is a real sense of like justice. But at the same time, they're quite forgiving. They have very complex relationships, I guess, with what you would call the villains, but they always stay true to themselves. So Jake and Finn are always Jake and Finn. They're the realest of buds and friends, and everyone likes them, but I'd say they're not, whilst they're friendly with everybody, they're still like very much, just each other's. But yeah, this show in general is just about figuring out what is the right thing to do. How can you make a difference? The relationships and that you forge, how you leave the world you're in. Are you leaving it a better place? And also just a lot of fun. This is a really fun show. And Finn and Jake have a lot of fun. And I think Aquarians like to have a lot of fun. They like to get weird and wacky and zany and don't care about like social convention and what everyone else is doing. They're not afraid to get real weird with it. And I really appreciate that about Aquarians. And so, yeah, I had to start with the Adventure Time Tarot as my kids' favorite tarot deck, but as also my personal pick for Aquarius season. Okay, so next up in this bag, Empyrean Tarot. So these are the backs, and you've got the Ouroboros on there. And this definitely has a cosmic kind of feel to it. It's got the blues and the purples that I kind of just associate with the colors of Aquarius. I find that this deck, though, is a little emotionally detached for me. There's this otherness about it that I can't quite touch. I don't know if it's a celestial thing or if it's a mythological thing, a deity thing, because this does also have the feel of like perhaps angels or some kind of celestial beings to it. So there is that barrier there, which I think is also an Aquarius thing, the barrier, the emotional detachment, the otherness. It's also very unique. I don't have anything else like this. It's got the lenticular. I think it's got this lenticular style to it. So what you first see is not what's hidden underneath. So it's the same thing with Aquarius. What they show you on the outside is very much a mask compared to what's on the inside. I feel like they hold a lot back from people that they do not know, and that you have to earn their trust before they will actually show you their true selves. So this deck definitely epitomizes, the hidden there, and that you have to work for it to reveal the image. But yeah, it's a very unique deck, and I feel like quite original in its execution. I just don't know anything else that looks like this out there. And that is why I've chosen the Empyrean Tarot. Okay, so here we have the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. This is the Infinity Edition. How bloody cool is this? This just has this like very, what's the word? Simple, effortless coolness to it. It's cool without trying to be cool. And I feel like Aquarians are that way. It is got a galactic kind of otherworldly feel to it. I also feel like this is the deck that is very much, I don't give a fuck and I do what I want. And I'm here to fuck shit up. I feel like Aquarians have that vibe as well. Like it has that rebel quality to it. Definitely a protagonist, the main character energy, but a loner vibe as well. I get a very much loner vibe in this, and I feel like Aquarians are kind of lone wolves in a way. Like I said, they've got their chosen pack, but they still have that lone wolf energy to them. It's I would say this is not typical Rider-Waite-Smith at all. It does its own thing. I love the color scheme in this. It's a vibe. It's weird. Yeah, it's got that outer space energy, and for some reason, like I just feel Aquarians have that outer space energy to them. Yeah, it's definitely a very individual kind of deck. It doesn't have a guidebook, so you have to work for it, bro. Like you have to put your own mind to use when reading with this deck. It's not going to make it easy for you. It's not going to hand it to you on a silver platter. You've got to put the effort in. But yeah, this deck is kind of like, it's got this just too cool for school vibe to it, which is very Aquarius to me. I don't think many Aquarians like school, the traditional idea of school at all either. It feels kind of progressive. It feels a little stubborn too, but quite futuristic. And I think Aquarians are definitely futuristic individuals. It's also got like an explorer energy, you know, it's space pirates kind of vibe or space opera feeling to it. But there's still, I don't know, there's also a detached quality to this deck. Like this deck will work with me when it wants to work with me. And I love it. I'm a bit obsessed and besotted with it. And I'm like trailing after it like a puppy. It's a very uneven power dynamic in that case, like because it feels detached. And I'm desperately trying to get it to open up to me and to, you know, bond with me. But, you know, in its own time, I guess. But yeah, this is the Holy Spectrum Infinity Edition Tarot. Okay, so next up we have the Cat Tarot. This is my daughter Indiana's deck once again. I've borrowed from her collection. I really wanted to represent her in this video. These are the backs. This is a mass market deck. And it's all about kitty cats. So I feel like cats are a good representation of Aquarius as well. They're very individualistic. They're very much aloof. They choose their people. They are not afraid to speak up about their wants and their needs and also put up their boundaries. They absolutely have their boundaries in place. They can be quite playful and energetic, but at the same time reserved and might hide and you won't even see them. They do what they want. And I feel like Aquarius is the same. They do what they want. I feel like cats are very strong-willed, but they can also be incredibly loyal to the people that they love. But also kind of funny, and like I said, my daughter Indy just makes me laugh, and she's not even trying, she's just being herself. But like what she says sometimes is just so shockingly random and odd that it's hilarious. And her sense of humor, it's weird and wacky, but I absolutely love it. There's just no one else that's like her. She's one of a kind, and I guess, you know, Aquarians are the same way. It's a very Aquarius trait. And I feel like cats also epitomize that wanting to be alone, but to be alone around others who also want to be alone, like that respect of I'm here and you're here, but we're not getting in each other's space. We're coexisting in our aloneness. So this is why I have chosen the Cat Tarot. Okay, so for oracles, one oracle that I have picked is the Broadbent Sisters Clearing cards. So this is a very odd deck. It is in a limited color palette, so it's in that moody blue, and I feel like moodiness is also an Aquarian trait. It's so distinct. It's got its own artistic style. It is very eccentric, I feel, especially in the titles of the cards. There are just some things that are just so bizarre, so unheard of, that I've never seen written, used anywhere else. And it's just like, what is blessed unrest, you know? Some of these cards, like it piqued my curiosity, and I absolutely had to get it so I could dive deeper, so I could uncover what exactly does the mud pool mean? You know, like, show me your secrets. Let me find out this new interesting information. Once again, like the element of curiosity and intelligence, like small fire in the forest, so enigmatic. And there's this sense of also, it's not mystical. That's not the word I'm looking for. What is it? If I remember what the word that I'm actually looking for is, I'll put it up above here. But there's also just this depth to this deck, but this calm depth. And I feel like Aquarians have that energy to them sometimes when they're not around, like especially people that they know and love. They've got this sort of very chill, tranquil, deep water quality to them. And this deck has that. There's also a kind of aloofness to this deck. Once again, I don't know if it's the creator's energy coming through, but there's this just mysteriousness about it. Doesn't matter how much I use it, I just feel like it's steeped in mystery. And it is the Broadbent Sisters Clearing cards. The next deck I have here is the 21st Century Bine Oracle. Sorry, that's Indiana playing with Sylvie. These are the backs. Like, how bloody cool are they? Like, I also feel like Aquarians have like very unique, probably eclectic fashion style. The combos that my daughter comes up with, just amazing, amazeballs. I love it. Things that you would never think of before. They just completely unconventional. and never seen before, one of a kind. And I feel like this deck is like that. I've never worked with anything like this. I know it's based on the 21st century Bine Oracle, but I don't have any prior knowledge to that. So this is all fresh and new to me. It's really interesting. It's layered. It's got this really sort of artistic vibe to it. Like I feel like it's got that artist energy, you know, the eccentric, misunderstood artist. But it's just really charming in its own way, and it inspires me to dig deeper and to unearth, you know, its treasures and its wisdom. I just feel like it's really imaginative and out of the box. So this is the 21st century Bine Oracle by Delphine. So the next deck that I have chosen, I've gone blank. I'll put the name up of this deck up above. I feel like it's the laws of something, but this deck, it's got that galactic vibe to it. I kind of associate space to Aquarians. Like I feel like they're the star seeds or the indigo children, you know, they've got that kind of vibe to it. So I feel like that resonates. This is also printed on almost photo paper, which is unlike anything I've ever seen in another deck before. It's very alternative in that way. Like it's just never seen this cardstock before in my life. So this one is based on the laws of the universe. Once again, I feel like Aquarians are very much for what is just, what is right. But they are also not afraid to break the laws if they don't feel like those laws are just and right. They are independent thinkers, and they will always question what's put in front of them. They don't just take what you say as gospel. They really like to buck the system, I would say. My daughter is very free-spirited in that way and does not like school, doesn't like anything about school. The whole idea of it just rubs her the wrong way. She doesn't like being told when to eat, when to use a bathroom, what to learn, how to learn it, what to wear, any of it. If I could, I would homeschool her, but I am in a co-parenting situation and that's not possible right now. But this card is also got these kind of Rorschach-y ink blots, which cause you to have to use your own intuition, your own thinking, your own logic to divine meaning from them. You have to sort of discover what the message is using your own knowledge and applying it to it. Obviously, it does have a guidebook. For this one, I don't use a guidebook. This is a purely intuitive deck for me, and it always works in that way. But there is a very sort of like original quality about this deck in terms of its subject matter, its art style, its cardstock, the guidebook. It's all very much itself. Like it's itself. It's not trying to be anything else. So this was this deck once again. Oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten the name, but and I've chosen it for Aquarius season. The next deck that I have selected is the Animal Apothecary. Even just the color palette alone is very striking. They're using like, what's the word when the colors are on the opposite ends of the color wheel? Like they're just very complementary though in their oppositeness. God, can you tell that I've got brain fog today? This is a mass market deck. This is just packed full of wisdom, but there's this eccentricity and oddness to it. It's got kind of this paradox to it because the pictures themselves are very sort of cartoonish, but the meanings in the guidebook, the way it's written up, there's just so much depth to it. It was a very surprising deck. I completely and totally misjudged it. Like once I used it, I was like, wow, that took me by surprise and kind of shook me up a little. It shook me up. I feel like Aquarians too, with their advice, that they've got sage wisdom and advice, but they don't sugarcoat it. They will tell you like it is. There is that sort of honesty there and that unwillingness to, like I said, sugarcoat things. They don't want to sugarcoat things. They don't want to be nice for the sake of niceness. They will tell you what you need to hear without diluting it and dulling it down. You know, they will give you the medicine straight up. No spoonful of sugar to follow. Like, you're going to get the medicine's for your own good, and this is what it is. This deck also has a very humanitarian feel to me, personally. It also has a lot of animal energy, and I feel like Aquarians do like animals. I feel like Aquarians probably like animals more than they like people in general, even though, like I said, they want the best for the world. That's the world for everyone, not just the humans. But I also think too that Aquarians can be quite generous and actually want to help others, even though it probably does drain their battery, they still will lend a hand. And this deck very much wants to lend a hand and help you out, whilst also telling you why you got yourself into that position to begin with. And it's the Animal Apothecary. The final oracle that I have chosen is the Sacred Rebels Oracle. So this is a mass market deck. And it's also even already in the name, Sacred Rebels. I feel like Aquarians are sacred rebels. They are creative. They are thoughtful. They are very independent, very strong-willed. They're intellectual, but I feel like they're also intuitive and just overall originals. They're definitely originals and creators and innovators. And this deck has those qualities as well. It's also got that air of mystery to it. There's this, once again, this amalgamation, this duo of, earthly and universal energy. I feel both the grounded and the spiritual, and I feel like Aquarians can also tend to, it's not, I guess daydream is the word for it, but they go off into their own worlds. You'll find them sort of like disassociating or zoning out because they're in their own lands, they're in their own mind, they're in their own world. So they're always existing within the two realms, when they're here. They're here, but they're also not here at the same time. There's also just this visionary quality about them, that, free-thinking rebel quality, which obviously this deck has as well. This deck is also, I feel like it's also a little weird, right? Like it's a little dreamer-ish and also like futuristic. I feel like there is a futuristic element as well. I think maybe it's the sacred geometry that's in there that's doing it for me. This card, I feel like, sums it up too. Aquarians are in the world, but also not of the world. Like, I just really get that kind of Star Child vibe from them. So on that note, until next time, stay wild, Star Child.